Now, where I left off, I was in a pretty strong position. I'm already starting to capture some of the enemy bases, and now I have a base very close to their territory, which is always good. Of course, yeah, see, look at my territory compared to theirs. Pretty big. Of course, this doesn't happen normally. It's just that they give the enemy such small territory to start off with. Now, we should prioritize this thing on the base. Now, this is a tactic I like to use. If you manage to mob something that's on a deployment property with a lot of units and destroy it, you can then proceed to do this. Take any kind of unit works, really. It's best to use something strong like a tank until you can get infantry over there, and just move it on top of the base. I call this, well, I don't know, base covering or something like that. Basically, it's a good tactic to use when you can't quite get infantry to enemy bases, but you want to stop them from creating more troops. Just put something on their bases, and they effectively won't be able to use it. Yeah, notice there I have an income of 11,000 now. And I think it's about time to bring out some more tanks. Now, I think around this point, the game is sort of progressing into the mid-game stage. I sort of say that the early game ends at a point when one side has enough income to create more than one tank in one turn. Then things sort of change from a battle of mostly infantry to a battle of tanks and larger tanks supporting them. Of course, now we have a problem here. Going back to this actual mission though, that city that my infantry is capturing right there is in range of the cannon. However, the cannon can only shoot at one thing per turn, so if I put lots of units in its range, one of my infantry is bound to get through without taking damage. Target saturation, they call this. Now, only move off your blocking unit if you know you can block the base with something else later on. Of course, I have an APC with infantry in it, which means I can put an infantry on this base and start capturing it. And at the moment, that's the only base he has, so he's stuck with 3 infantry and a transport, while I have multiple tanks. Yeah, even machine guns are pretty good on APCs. And now I can start sending in things scarily close to his main lines. Right, yeah, it's well and truly got into the mid-game now. I'm using more lots of tanks and anti-air units as opposed to infantry. And you'll see that the cannon shot the transport when the capturing infantry are of course much more valuable to me. But it targets the transport just because it's more expensive. Now the cannon can't fire this turn, so I've pretty much captured that base, but of course it's not going to be much use to me because, as I said before, anything that gets created from that base will get shot at by the cannon. Speaking of which, I haven't fully explained how the cannon works. The actual damage the cannon causes is what I like to refer to as map damage, or damage that occurs on the map screen rather than the actual battle screen. This kind of damage mostly comes from cannons and other types of structures, but some commanders have the ability to cause map damage through their CO powers. Like a certain really annoying enemy commander who we'll be meeting much later on. And I really hate him. Anyway, now the thing about map damage is, it can't kill units, it can only weaken them. So when the cannon shoots something, it does 5 damage, so a 10 HP unit will get reduced to 5 HP. If the cannon shoots that 5 HP unit again, it'll go down to 1 HP. So repeating that, cannons can weaken units but they can't kill them. Of course, something reduced to 1 HP is pretty much useless, unless you retreat it and repair it. But still, it's a good thing to keep in mind. So keeping things in front of the cannon isn't going to affect your technique ranking, basically. Now, in this sort of mid-game situation, eventually, someone is going to get enough income to start producing medium tanks, which are basically bigger, more powerful, and higher defense versions of regular tanks. And of course, medium tanks are really the only thing you have at this point that's quite good against the cannon. And now, since I saved a lot of money, I actually have 22,000 this turn, which means I'd be able to create, well, the most powerful land unit in the game if we actually had access to them, which we don't. You need to complete the lab mission to get them. Anyway, you might notice that cannons and other structures have an HP value. They all start off with 99, so even later on when you'll be seeing smaller cannons, they still have 99 HP. And the percentage damage you cause to them is the amount that gets deducted from their HP. Now, as you saw there, regular tanks don't do that much to cannons. Medium tanks, which I probably will be creating this turn, though do. And later on, this kind of thing is going to become really important. But bombers, which we don't have access to here, but we will later, are actually capable of destroying a structure in a single hit from full HP. If they're damaged, they can't. Unless you're playing as Max or a certain other character. So basically, alright, Flak has no units left. In a normal mission, we'd win here, but since the goal here is destroy the cannon, we still have to wait. Now, however, if I keep all his bases covered though, he won't be producing anything for the rest of the mission. So I've pretty much won here. I just need to focus on getting rid of the cannon fast for a good speed ranking. Now, I'm pretty sure I haven't lost anything, so I'll definitely get 100 in technique. And for power, well, these early missions, you really don't have to worry about doing anything crazy for the power score. If you just destroy as many enemy units as you can, you're going to get 100, pretty much. Now, replacing the weakened units and keep hitting that cannon. When I get that medium tank in, that will be good. Now, something you might have noticed is that I've got only 1 star in my power meter. That's because, of course, since the enemy were only ever able to create really cheap units, your power meter doesn't fill that much, because like I explained in the previous mission, it depends on basically the cost of the damage you inflict, which goes into your power meter. So, since they were creating mostly infantry, just destroying infantry won't really get your power meter up very much. So, there's very, very little chance that you'll ever get your superpower in this one. You may get your normal power, but it's unlikely. Which is why I said it's best to do the max mission first, because it's a better introduction to CO powers than this one is. And now, hopefully, now that I get a medium tank in, see, 55%, big difference. And after that rather satisfying explosion, this mission is over. You can't actually create any more units either, so you wouldn't be able to lose any even if you wanted to, but still. A little close. He has no units left, and I have stuff covering the whole map. Yeah, once you get used to it, this mission is pretty easy. But it has to be, because if it's your first time playing, you really should focus on learning the tactics of creating your own units and the like.
Mission complete.
Could have done that a little faster. probably one day less and I would have got a perfect score, but as I said before, perfect scores don't really matter to me, just S ranks.